Hello snowboarders of the internet, I'm your host Avran LeFeber, and in this video we're going to be reviewing the Salomon 6 stick, which got a bit of an overhaul for 2025. This board features Salomon's Rock Out camber profile, which is basically a camber 2.0 with rocker, or a 2.0 cam rocker. So you got a flattened camber section that comes through the inserts, kicks down into rocker in the tip and the tail. That camber section is going to give you all the load, pop, snap, and drive, while that rocker section in the tip and the tail is going to give you ease of entry in and out of turns, as well as more optimal powder float. This board's available in 145, 149, 153, 156, 159, and 163. I rode this board at Copper Mountain on a day that was overcast, snowing. There was 7 inches that had fallen overnight on top of the previous day's 4 inches. And you had midday powder panic, which created a lot of push piles on some of the runs. There's a scraped off corduroy. I mean, it was just like it had frozen and then gotten scraped down to it. And chopped chunder and a little bit of ice, and I rode it with my Rome Black Label bindings and my K2 Thraxis boots. So they softened this board up, and as Salomon claims it's the original powder freestyle board, and I somewhat agree with that, it kind of makes sense. Now what you get is softer tips, with the nose being just a hair softer than the tail, but the midsection is the stiffest point on this board. And then the torsional flex is abundant. There is a key flex spot right outside the front binding, so when you really push into it, it raises that rocker in the nose up, which helps with powder float. When it comes to stability, there's not a lot. You can feel everything with this board. At high speeds, that nose starts to flap and it looks like a pelican about to take flight. All that chatter reverberates back under the front foot. And when you drill something under the fresh pow, this board lets you know you screwed up. You're gonna feel it. So if you just mash into a giant ice boulder, your lower back is gonna take it. Be aware of that. It's not a really damp ride. It's far more lively. So this isn't the snappiest board out there. It's okay. It's very easy to load the camber section up and roll back on the tail, and you're gonna get pop. Just, it's not as snappy as last year's model, I noticed. It was kind of lacking. It was a little sluggish, just if you aggressively loaded it up. If you're doing a last minute pop, like skate style, you know, you're just gonna boost, you're gonna get in the air. You're not gonna boost, that's for sure, but you'll get up in there. It was a little bit better in fresh pow. I just noticed that it could porpoise a lot easier than it has in the past. So that was kind of nice, especially when I got into a pow field. I was like, oh, okay, I'm just porpoising around. This is nice. But then if I had to come out of that, hit like a cat track or something and was trying to aggressively load it, just lacking. I mean, you can get in the air, but you're not able to send it like you used to with this thing. Hey, you're watching this. Have you clicked like? Are you subscribed? Have you clicked the bell to get those notifications? Why not? You know you want to. With the shaping of this board, you got rocker in the tips. That's gonna help you. With the tail, it's pretty much high-speed wheelies. You can get a little sideways if you absolutely need to, but with the nose, it's like a giant spatula. You got all this room out there. And when you pop a 180, you can just swizzle and sizzle around on it. And it's got just a little bit of snap to pop you out. It's kind of lacking in my opinion, but it'll still pop you out of that butter. So if you do need to do a high-speed pow butter, just understand you're more or less gonna be able to swizzle right on that nose. With the tail, you're just high-speed wheeling right down the run, which is not a bad thing. It's kind of fun to do that in pow. More people should do that. So with the edge-to-edge power transmission of this board, it's smooth and fluid. The problem is you can overpower it. If you really drive your knee into the center of the board and push off the tail, you're gonna lose a lot of power. It just folds. It doesn't allow you to slingshot out of a turn. Pretty much medium carves are about where this board tops out. Short, tight, quick turns are easy enough, and you can ankle steer it with no effort. Medium carves, you can lock it in and swoop from one side of the trail to the other, but when you try to lay it over, there's so many limitations with this thing. Yeah, you can do it, but if you put too much pressure on that back foot, loading that camber to drive it, it'll kick out on you. So you're constantly just feathering it, hoping that you do not kick out. It holds when it's on edge, which is nice, but it doesn't feel as locked in as it used to. Who's this board for? The resort ripping powder rider with a freestyle focus. Alright, if you want to support us further, swing on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP and become a member. Sure, I could tell you more here, but I got a video over there that explains it so much better. Honestly, I don't like how soft this board's become. It's just too playful. In POW, it just does not have the response that I want. Ideally, I probably would have gone up to the 163 in it, but they didn't have that size available when I got this. 59's fine, I can make do with it. And going up to a 63, you would get more core guts in it, a little bit more surface area, but I still think it would be too soft. And it's kind of a shame because I do like the 6-stick. It's always been a fun ride. And this one, I was like, it's there. I think if you're a lighter weight rider, you're probably absolutely gonna love it. And the other thing that I didn't like was the new core guts and everything that they're doing with it. It's not as damp as it's been, so you felt everything. My knees just felt beat up at the end of the day. Comparable boards, the Bataleon Thunderstorm, the K2 Antidote, the Jones Mind Expander. Binding recommendations, the Salomon Hologram, the Union Strata, the Jones Meteorite. This has been my review of the Salomon 6-stick. If you liked it, why don't you go watch another review of one of the comparable boards? That's right, you're going down a YouTube hole.